Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the fourth episode in my series where I rate your Fall Guys creative rounds that are submitted to me. Just as a quick refresher, I look at overall gameplay, how newer beans can adapt to the map, or as I would like to call them, how bean friendly it will be, and the amount of aesthetics that are present in the map as I look through the various ratings. Following the gameplay of the map itself, I will have my official thoughts on the map as well as having thoughts that are in the middle of the game itself to let players know perhaps what are things that they can improve on, or maybe say things that might not have been too obvious at the first glance. As per usual, there will only be 5 maps per video, and following this fourth episode, content would slightly not come as quickly because the original intention was that I am supposed to be doing one episode per week, or perhaps like every 2 weeks. I have not really set a schedule for this. However, because currently I have a little bit more time on my hands right now, so this is why this is happening. And with that, let us actually move to the first round for this episode. For our first episode today, we apologies. For our first map today, we have Wreck-It Ralph Circuit from the creator user12068 and a Chinese character at the end. Or if I think some other viewers might know them better as simply ABC129. Regardless, the map itself, at first glance, we can already see a little bit of aesthetic. The ending, that's actually, for some weird reason, first time seeing that it's actually directly behind us, but obviously it is not possible to reach it from here, so we have to run this map normally. So now itself, first thing you will notice is that there are two various speed arcs as well as this start sign over here. Just to note is that even for newer players, if they don't understand what the speed arcs do, they do not need the speed arcs to be able to navigate through this section, but perhaps they might need a little bit more increased height in order to ensure that they don't fall off. I'm not certain whether that is possible. But next up over here, we have a Fall Guys team that is doing a diagonal slanted pose, perhaps. Anyways, next up we have this heart looking like vehicle that is really very interesting. There is this arrow aesthetic that basically informs players on where they should be going. One thing I do want to point out is this little gap over here, because even without me exploring the map, the various speed boosts that you'll be taking along the map itself will indeed expire by the time you reach this little junction, and I think players might not be aware that there is a gap because as they approach, it is not too visible for players. But regardless, let us move on to the next part of the map itself. So this little section, you can actually make use of the fan to directly hit the bouncer, but I would normally assume that newer players might not understand it. There is a path for you to still reach a really pad or drum, bouncer, whatever you want to call them. So do not fret that if you are unable to make a simple 5 seconds to 10 seconds of time save. And definitely be careful of that, and remember that as they possess the ability to knock you off the map. But regardless, the running portion of the map is pretty easy and straightforward. Over here, it looks like we have a king bean who is telling players where to actually go for the next part of the map. Taking another speed up, we notice that there is a builder beam. Is this what this beam is supposed to be? I am not too certain itself, but regardless, the equipment on his hand is telling us that this is the path to go. I would say that this little piece over here is a little bit more confusing, and I was spending far too much time exploring the map and I will be able to qualify. But regardless, the stickers itself can be a little deceptive for players. The boom blaster over here can be a little bit tricky, but I would say that its speed is slow enough for players not to worry about them. I will actually run this map again and I will show you some parts of the other map because this map, in my opinion, is not too complicated. And really it's because I am trying to show you all the different aesthetics, which is why I'm taking longer to clear the map itself. So I will resume seeing you guys once I reach the Boom Blaster area. Alright, now that we are back at this Boom Blaster area where I unfortunately ran out of time last time, let's continue the map and let's see if we can discover anything else that we should be seeing. Over here is a punching glove that will lead us to the next area. Is that meant to be a copy? That's why I'll assume that he is trying to help us, and through our movement of the conveyors, we will make it to the next section. And lastly, we would see this beam over here. It seems to be a worker beam, but I am not sure what he doing staring out of space. But once we navigate it through this area, we can dive down the slide and finish the map. Now then, for my official thoughts of this particular map, I would say that this is a fun little challenge map. But however, the map really isn't that challenging at all, which is why I would consider this more of a positive thing than a negative thing. The number of aesthetics is not overwhelming to people can get mesmerized by them. However, there is still a decent effort in it, and some of the aesthetics, like as I mentioned, the king bean, some of the worker beans, the cop bean even, they are actually serving as directional guides that can help players progress with the map itself. For parts that are really negative, it's more towards on how players might not be able to notice certain gaps, certain threats like the pendulum or even the gap that I've pointed out. Other than that, this itself is a relatively fun map to play through. Average length of the map itself, I would say, is about 4 to 5 minutes, which I think is also the amount of time that you are given to clear this map. So with that, my rating for this map would actually be a 7.575 out of 10, and the more observant viewers at this point will also notice that this is really the first map with a rating that contains 3 decimal points. But regardless, this was really something that I feel is more deserving of the rating Therefore, it really sits down as the fact that it's a fun map, but there are still some flaws here and there. Regardless, let us move to the second map in this episode. Our second map for today is titled Super Slider by the creator Dr. Pepsi 7926. The description reads that we are supposed to slide our way through the slides in the water dome in order to reach the finish line. Let us see whether players will be able to understand how to navigate through this with ease, and first glance itself, we can actually see that there are lots of various obstacles that poses a threat to players sliding, but not too much that it can cause them to really need more skill, and I would say it's quite newbie friendly. So over here we get our first checkpoint itself. So the left and right path, I have explored them variously, and it would appear that they are actually relatively similar. So do not worry if you take either path, as you will not be losing too much regardless of which path you take. So over here itself, we are currently underwater, and oops, we end up flying out of the map. So just to show all of you that the left path is just as similar, I will also be doing the same path. Notice that the X itself is also present on the left path. So other than the spot mistake where I initially got confused on where to go, but that was really on me because I'm not at my peak condition right now. But regardless, we do see the finish line that is over here with a star sticker. And now let's actually move on to a thought and rating session for this particular map. For this map itself, if I were to compare it to the previous sliding map I have rated in a previous episode, I would say that this is the type of sliding map that is done better because this map itself, as you notice from my gameplay, there is not much difficulty for any player to struggle upon as they play through the map. And there are really visible hints all throughout the map as to where to go. The arrows are basically helping out all the players to navigate through with ease. For an official rating of this map, I'll be giving it a 7.45 out of 10. The only thing that really puts this map a slightly lower amount would be the amount of aesthetics that are present in the map. But regardless, it is definitely simple enough for newer players to navigate. And let us move to the next map in this episode. The third map for today is titled Nervous Pacing by the creator Zombie HG. The description reads that we are both nervous and pacing, and the piece that we will find is at the finish line. is known to be abundant and prevalent. So initially, directly as the map starts, we see that we are sort of in a slime respawn maze. This area itself might be a little too tough to navigate, but if you decide to hug the spear, you will be safe. This area you have to be careful of two things, one being the moving bar, and that is me not being cautious of the moving bar as usual. And the second is actually the blizzard fan right beneath the slime that is actually constantly on the move. So once you have actually cleared that area, you would find yourself onto the little bouncers that will lead to these spore balloons. And you will end up on this section of the map. This section over here, I would say that for each individual obstacle, you would need to use the speed art in order to get enough momentum and speed. For this one, not so much because you are able to use the punching glove. The third nearest visible obstacle is this massive fan blade that somehow is stuck on the ground. The fourth is the navigation of the various boxes. And you're supposed to use them in order to push through to the next area with a lot of different bullets and two different fans that will actually lead you into more lilies and bouncers. With that, we did move to the second part of the map, which there are lots of bananas or something. And unfortunately, the bananas basically murdered me, and I get to respawn now. Anyways, let's try that banana section again, and really the trick is that the bananas won't actually be too much of an issue so you know how to navigate, but the bananas themselves can cause the players to ragdoll by quite a large amount, even if the used ragdolling that the game has implemented due to the changed physics. The clouds themselves are of course bouncy, but they don't prove to be too much of a threat. Over here there are multiple paths, but for me personally I love to stick inside the pipe. Now we have reached this area, however first things first, I will grab my checkpoint and move on to oversized conveyor speeds as well as some unpleasant obstacles right into another checkpoint. And this particular obstacle right here is something that I don't really like because it perhaps is and will be the toughest part for players to understand, and making it if we are able to clear the map. And moving on to my official thoughts for this map, I would be saying that this map has quite an average amount of difficulty implemented inside of them. However, certain obstacles make it not so bean friendly, like the thick bonkers at the nearer to the ending itself. That was really a disaster gameplay because I have no idea what the creator want from players, because from initial first glance is that we are supposed to land onto the obstacle and then jump across, but doing certain tests, it will appear that the speed of it is just a little too fast for that to actually occur, and the best way to move to that next section is to bounce yourself or let's say get into a little bean accident by letting yourself get hit by that obstacle in order to make it to the next section. Anyways, on to my official rating for this map. I will be giving this map a 5.725 out of 10 because this map itself has quite a lot of different things to be said. Low amount of aesthetics. The initial starting is a little too complicated, I would say, even though I've done it on the first try. But then I would say that certain things is just not so bean friendly to it. But regardless of what else I would say about this map itself, let's move on to the fourth round in this episode. The fourth map in this episode is titled Satellite Swivel by Cookie Crumb 888, and the creator has left a note saying that it is impossible to be on the dark gray areas that has an additional cross implemented. And if you were to land on that dark gray area, you will instantly respawn, so I would advise players to not try that at any point. For this little area itself, I would say that it is still relatively easy. There is not much difficulties implemented in it. Onto this next section, I done a lot of testing on various things, and the caution sign that is placed right over here is indeed well placed, because even if you decided to land on yourself onto the pink line area, you will instantly respawn, so please do note that you jump across it. Then up onto going off this hexagon tile, we will hit our next checkpoint and onto this sliding area, as this first attempt is instantly get a very bad run. Now that we have made it into this hammer area, we will move on to the rocket ship. And this rocket ship itself, as you notice, there is a safe helipad for you to make use of, and the final hint of the map, which is a little arrow for you to understand that you have to make use of the thrusters in the rocket ship in all of Now that the map itself has been done with, my thoughts for this map is that it may seem average at the very beginning. However, I would say that this map itself still averages about 3 to 4 minutes. So therefore, it is still quite balanced in difficulty with all the different tests that I've run, whether players have to make use of various different skills in order to qualify. I really ran through every single thing, and I've come to the conclusion that if there are any hazards upcoming, I would say that the creator has done a good job warning the players for it. So let's move on to an official rating for this map. And for this map itself, I will be giving this a rating of 8.05 out of 10. Previously, I might have rated this map itself and I have given it a slightly lower rating But of course, after I ran through this map on this particular run as well as a review run, I feel that this map deserves to be a little bit higher, so right now it hits a rating of 8.05. Because of how relatively simple the map is, I would say that it really deserves to be rated this high, but maybe I might give it a little bit higher, given more time and really understanding how players that are new to the game would navigate through maps like these. Now, it's time to move on to the last episode, not last episode, last map for this episode. And I would say that this is a main event worthy map. It is not just a map that I could simply put as number one, and it would actually be Luncheon Kingdom from the creator Bitter Goblin. In the description, it is actually said that this map is inspired from the Switch video game Super Mario Odyssey. And just to let all of you know, before I really added this map into my list for rating, I really went and searched up a video onto the overall outlook of the kingdom itself, and I would say that this is a relatively well description. Not well description, excuse me, well recreation of the map, of the kingdom in a Fall Guys map itself. Over here is actually a corn platform that I noticed that in the game itself you're supposed to stand on the left or right side of the edges as shown in the current perspective of the screen itself for the corn to actually grow to the various sides. There are actually multiple paths that you can take on this map, and normally you're supposed to continue walking through the left side with all the bouncers, but this little area right here from the official game itself, there's actually a photo boo that is actually in the map itself that will actually hunt you, and you're supposed to make use of your little hat to take control of it in order to navigate through the lava. But regardless, all the details are very impressive itself. And have I actually mentioned that the pink respawn zone basically represents the lava in the entire kingdom? If not, that might be something that you might have just learned in the map itself. So right now we notice that there is simple platforming, and let's enter a warp pipe just like Mario, but instead it's a door and it's a warp pipe. And we notice that there's another corn piece, some impressively designed fire stands, and let's go through this tunnel and see what is remaining. There are lots of really navigation platforms that are in the set itself. As I actually had just noticed that there is a secondary path for players to take, which is the hexagon tiles on the bottom. I would say that that particular route is more for experienced players. But newer players can just take the route that I am currently going through. And onto this next area, where if you notice that there are always platforms, there's actually a pink underside to them. Do not jump over when you actually notice those other sides are present, as you will instantly respawn should you do. So quickly navigating past the punching blocks, we will move into this next section as there are hexagon tiles for us to navigate, or players can also actually look through the same rotating platforms as to navigate the same place itself. In order to ensure that I can respawn myself to a previous checkpoint, I will make use of the reset the checkpoint mechanic, as now we are in the final areas of this map. And we have some small little platforms to navigate across, and we shall take the fan and qualify through at the top of the map. And on to my thoughts and rating for this map. For this map itself, as I noticed in the run through itself of the map, I really found a high level of similarity to the inspiration, which is the video game Super Mario Odyssey. And this is something that I will put out front, as this is the first map that I've rated that is based off of an inspiration of any kind of another video game. I will actually search up reference material regarding to the game itself in order to figure out whether the recreation holds any sort of weight to it. And really, this is a map that has that level of recreation involved in it. As I've also mentioned that perhaps around the middle of the map, where you will enter warp pipes at certain parts of the map, and you will get to experience what is the daily life of Mario in Fall Guys as you walk through the various warp pipes. And if you don't, you will simply, spoiler alert, respawn and really get to experience how it is like. My only negative thing I have to say about this map is rather hilarious, because I am aware that in this particular game itself, Luigi is rather worthless, as he only appears as, I think, a minigame chatbot where you can activate certain online features, and he is always flying in a bunch of balloons. Other than that, I would just say that this is a very, very, very fun map, and here is my official rating for the map. And here it is. It is a solid 9 out of 10 for the map titled Luncheon Kingdom. I would say that this map would definitely deserve higher in the near future, because I did not really take a look at every single part of the kingdom itself, as I do not own the game myself, so I am also unable to really compare each and every single detail of the map. And therefore, really, this will conclude this episode for today. And expect the future episodes to really be sort of run through in a complete set itself. Future episodes will really come slower. More things will be done that would actually help players to understand it a little bit better. And this would mean that I have come to the end of the ratings for this episode. Thank you all for watching, and I hope to see you in the next episode.